Hey everyone, Tyler here from Tyler Dice Golf. Today's video is going to be on what to expect in a indoor club fitting. And a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you get the pop-up that's asking if you want to get notified for these live videos, go ahead and hit yes, you want to get notified. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. And when I get to the end, I'll make sure I answer any and all questions that I see. And if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out in this video, go ahead and click like. It really helps get this video out to more people, and I really appreciate it. So those are the three housekeeping things. And so this video is going to be on what to expect with a indoor club fitting. So like we're inside, and you want new clubs, right? So let's go ahead and show you what to expect, what you're going to experience when you're indoors. So let's grab a club and a glove and let's dig in. So the first thing, probably the biggest thing you're going to notice is spin rates, right? Spin rates are important. They are very important because your spin rate kind of determines how far that golf ball is going to go, right? If it's spinning too much, it's going to fly short. If it's spinning too little, it could go a lot farther than it's supposed to. So if I hit a shot here, now this is a pitching wedge, right? So this is a pitching wedge. I'm not lying, it's a pitching wedge. Everybody can see it, right? Pitching wedge. This is a pitching wedge. So I'm going to hit a pitching wedge, right? So I hit this pitching wedge. Now, there is going to be some discrepancy between the machine that's measuring the shot, the mat, and what you experience outside on real grass. So as you hit a couple of shots, you're going to see some things change. I'd like to point out the spin rate on that shot. It says it was 2870. Me looking at that, I'm going to say, hey, that was a half read. There's no way, it's at least a half read, right? Maybe even a third read. Okay, so that's a red flag number one, right? So we set up and we hit shot number two. And we say, oh, that was a little bit better, but then they look at the distance, right? The distance is off. What happened there? I felt like I hit it pretty good, right? Yeah, we're hitting off a mat, so let's hit another one. I hit that one great. All right, let's see if we can hit a fourth one. See if we can get any more variables to pop up. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at all of those shots, right? We'll go ahead and bring up the chart. Here's all the shots. So first things first, let's look at spin rate, which is right here, which is your spin rates. So we have 2800, which I think is wrong, 4200, 4700, and 5600. Which one of those is right? Which one of those is most accurate? Off the top of my head, because I looked before I came out here, I looked at what the average spin rate for a pitching wedge on the PGA Tour is. I can tell you it's not anywhere close to those three numbers. It's roughly 9,000 RPMs. Now I'm willing to bet that a PGA Tour guy is going to have a wedge that probably has less loft than this one. I'm sorry, more loft than this one. Okay, and they want it to spin more because the greens they play on are typically really firm, and they're going to play a golf ball that typically spins more than the golf balls that I use. So where does the other 3,000 RPMs come from this bottom number? Right? What's happening? What's going on? Is it the machine? I can tell you right now that that first read was just a bad read. Okay? The other two, the other three, this mat right here. So when I hit my shots outside, off of grass, I'm fairly certain that my spin rate's right around 7,000 to 8,000 RPMs. Sorry, excuse me. So it's about 1,000 RPMs less than what the PGA Tour has. Okay? So then if mine is, say, 8,000, 7,000 to 8,000 RPMs a spin, then this number is still 1,500 to 2,000 RPMs low. And it's not from the machine, it's because of the mat. When you're hitting indoors off of a mat, the golf ball will have a tendency to go higher and spin less. Go higher and spin less. Okay, not your launch angle, which is this number right here. This number is kind of unaffected. But this number, meaning the golf ball goes higher and it spins way less. So if it goes higher and spins less, the machine's going to read it as going farther than what it really does. Sometimes. And so what's going to happen if you're in a machine, you're in a room like this, and that machine doesn't tell you spin rate, but it tells you distance, you're going to go with the ones that fly the farthest, right? Those are going to be the ones that the machine misreads. Those are going to be the ones that the mat is doing you injustice. So when you're hitting balls inside, you want to get as much data as you can. And you also want to look at that data, through a lens, right? And that lens is, this golf ball is going to have less spin than it does outside. So I need a golf club that's going to reflect that, right? So you don't want to come in here and start hitting numbers that are 5,000 RPMs, right? 4,000 RPMs, right? And thinking, oh man, I got to get a shaft and a head that's going to knock the flight down and jack up the spin. Because when you go outside to the real world on the grass, that flight's going to get knocked down and that spin rate's going to go up automatically. So you want to take that into consideration. Okay, you don't want to have a guy in here that's trying to fit you for the mat and doesn't understand that there's a discrepancy here between what the mat does to the golf ball and what the grass does to the golf ball. So let's hit another one, right? Let's just take a look and see what this one does. Again, so we back up to that 5,500 RPM range, right? So again, the ball's spinning less in here. Let's do one more time. There you go, look at that one, see? Yes, I hit that great, but the mat is throwing off all the data, right? Because it's telling me that ball only spun at 3,100 RPMs. And I know that's not true. It should be double that. And it tells me that went 158. So here I am with an 8-out, or the pitching wedge. With a pitching wedge. See, still a pitching wedge, no magic tricks. With a pitching wedge. And that fitter is going to tell me that ball just went 158 with these new clubs that he just gave me, right? And I can tell you that when I go into the golf course, I cannot hit this club over 150 yards. I can't do it. But magically, I just picked up 8 yards in here. And he's going to tell me, hey, these golf balls, these clubs, they knock off all the spin. And he's going to tell me, hey, look how high that went. That went 80 feet in the air. The wedge. All the other numbers are perfect, right? Anything else looks good? That's bad. That's too far. So when you're inside, you're getting a club fitting. You don't know what's going on. You're going to get sold a set of clubs that aren't going to work for you. And that's a problem. That's a problem for me. That's a problem. I find that to be very, very bad. Okay? I don't want you to make the mistake of getting a set of clubs thinking that you're going to hit the ball a lot farther than you do. And I don't want you to make the mistake of coming in here and actually, knowing some things and still making the mistake of getting clubs that aren't fit right for you. Okay? When you come in here, when the golf ball spins less, that's okay. Just know that when you take these clubs out into the real world on the grass, it's going to fly lower and spin more. So you want to take that into consideration. So if you're hitting the ball, so you come in here, you want You want stuff that is going to spin low and that is going to go high. Okay? Because in the real world it's going to go lower and spin more. Right? So you want to still try and get more height out of these shots. Okay? If you need that. If you need to hit the ball higher. Most people need to hit the ball higher. Like I still like I can hit the ball higher. It's okay. Like it's not going to hurt me hitting the ball a little bit higher. But you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way with the clubs, not the wrong way. So let's just switch clubs again. We'll go to an 8-iron, and this is one of the things that really ticks me off that the mat does. And let me set this up. Anybody not take a 183-yard 8-iron? Dead straight? 8-iron, 183. If you're pitching what you're supposed to spin at 9,000 RPMs, well, in my case, 7,000 to 8,000. We go to a 9-iron, what, 65 to 75, and then an 8-iron should be at what, 6,000 to 7,000. Spin rate 44.73. That's almost 2,000 RPMs low. That's low. That's from the mat. That's from the mat. Okay, that's from the mat. You don't want that. And yes, I'm going to be talking with FlightScope, because that's the machine we use in here. I'm going to be talking to them about this data. I'm going to try and see if they're working on a way to get around this. Okay, because that's not what we want. We're not getting accurate enough readings in here because of the mat. There needs to be a way, it needs to be a workaround or some algorithm to come up with that, to fix that. Okay, and all the machines are, it's the same stuff. I mean, the machine's just reading the golf ball. Okay? So the machine's not I mean, every once in a while you'll see a misread. You'll see that number double, or you'll see that number get cut by a third or something. And then you'll see that low spin number. And that's just, it happens indoors, okay? With the light changing and all that fun stuff and the machine, that golf ball's, only flying off the face to hit the mat, well, it has like a millisecond or whatever to grab all that data. So every once in a while mistakes happen. But that's crazy, right? I mean, 183 yard 8-iron? I ain't got that. Not with a 89 mile an hour club head speed. Needs to be more like 95, 96. Give me that number. And don't get me wrong, I had some pretty good shots, but this club should go closer to 175 than 183. 183 is 8 yards too far. 178 is getting closer. But that spin rate, like I said, needs to be 1,500 RPMs more. And this mat is what knocks it off, okay? And so that's a big thing of what you should expect when you're indoors, right? Especially when you're hitting irons. Now, as you get into longer clubs, like your hybrids and your 3-woods, those numbers aren't going to have as much of there's not going to be as much of an adjustment with those clubs, right? So if I grab this 3-wood that I've been trying out, put the golf ball down, and I'm going to change here to a 3-wood in here. Sorry, I'm hitting some pulls in here. let me show you. I'm hitting some poles. It's not because I'm pulling the ball. It's because I adjusted how the flight scope is aimed, and I need to hit it over here. But I keep wanting to hit it right here. And so when I hit it right here, I hit a pole. So that was actually a really good swing. But as you can see, 2707, that's about 600-700 RPMs less than what it should be. Again, the mat. Now I can hit this 3-wood pretty good, about 265-ish in the air, but 270 off the deck is piping it, right? See, there's the mat again, right? See how high it went? Yeah, I don't do that. Okay? So anyways, these are the things that you should be expecting, should expect, should know when you go to get a club fitting indoors. It doesn't mean the club fitting is useless, mind you. It doesn't mean it's useless. There's a lot of stuff that you can get dialed in indoors. And you can get a pretty good set of clubs too. But you gotta know what the data is. You gotta know what you're looking at. Okay, you should have a frame of reference, right? Like when I go and I'm doing my fitting stuff, on my phone, I have every single one of my numbers. Then I have every single one of my numbers, I have every single one of my numbers outdoors. I have all my numbers, what they look like, indoors. And I have PGA Tour averages, what their numbers are. I have that all on a chart that I put together for myself. And I have a picture of it, and it's on my phone. And so when I go do a fitting, whether it's indoors or outdoors, I know exactly what my numbers should look like per my clubs. And so when I'm doing stuff and trying different stuff out, and I'm getting random numbers, or like hitting a pitch which 158 yards, if I look at the numbers, I'd be like, oh, all right, well that's way off from what I get, here and here and here indoors, if I'm indoors, or that's way off what I get different here and outdoors. And don't get me wrong, you could be outside but still hitting off a mat, and those numbers are going to be different still as well, because nothing's going to be as accurate as the machine watching the golf ball as it flies through the air, because it's going to get an accurate measurement, meaning that the RPMs and stuff that it reads, the distance that it flies, it's the actual number of times that golf ball spun. Okay, so if your golf ball stays in the air for 7 seconds, it's going to take the spin, how many times that ball rotated, for 7 seconds, and then multiply that out to get to 60. And there's your RPMs, right? Whereas here, it's seeing how much the golf ball rotates from here to here. And then once it hits this screen, it has to get that number and multiply it out. Which, from here to here, it's only a couple of revolutions, right? Right? So that golf ball doesn't spin enough because you can't fall it far enough to get a super accurate spin number, right? It's limited, and we know that. We know that because we're inside. We know that it can only be so good, right? A machine can only measure so far. And so when it can only measure for that split second, it's actually doing an amazing job just being able to give you a spin number, a fairly accurate spin number to begin with. And then you couple that with the mat taking spin off, that's even more of a problem. Unfortunately, they don't have mats that are great to hit off of, that are super durable, that produce results close to what real grass produces. And again, I don't even know if you... And the hard part about that is different grasses produce different results at different times of the day, different times of the year, right? So wet grass, dry grass, you have soft grass, firm, you have bent, you have Bermuda, you have zoysia, you have bluegrass, you have kikuya, you have poana, you have rye, you have fescue. So all those different types of grasses produce different results. So again, that's why it's really important to spend some time and just know what you're doing and have a frame of reference and know where the shortfalls are for where you're doing your fitting, right? If you're indoors, you know that it will not be as accurate as if you're outside. And also, if you're outside and it's windy, that can throw everything off, right? If there's a 10-mile-an-hour breeze, it's not where the TrackMan's at, and it just happens to be blowing over some trees where the range opens up. And every time you hit a shot, it flies straight, and then peels to the right. That's going to throw off the numbers of the machine, right? And if it knocks to the left, that's going to throw off the numbers of the machine. And so there's different modes that you can put the machine into that'll help adjust for that. But again, unless you have a competent fitter who can adjust on the fly and knows how to change these settings up, things could get crazy. And so that's why I always recommend going to someone who's very, very experienced and has great technology and knows how to use it and cares about you getting better and not necessarily just selling you golf clubs, right? And those people are hard to find. I'd love to say we offer that service here. We do not. We do not offer that service here. And maybe one day we will, but again, we do not offer that service here at all. And not a lot of people do. But anyways, all this stuff, this is what you can, should, will encounter, expect, and when you're going through a fitting. There are just discrepancies in the data collection, and sometimes things just aren't perfect or hunky-dory, and that's okay. But you just want to understand, like I said, understand what's going on, have a frame of reference, and that way you can make a very accurate, educated guess on how to move forward with your fitting. And don't get me wrong, if you have old clubs, you're looking at new clubs, like say you have clubs that are like 8 or 9, 10 years old, you hit some new clubs, there's going to be a distance jump. So just be okay with that. Like, don't be alarmed. Like, I know that like when I'm hitting outside versus inside, and I said like 8, 9, 10-yard distance jump, like I know that's off. But if you come in here, the first couple are a massive distance jump, and you have old clubs, it's just because the new ones are better. Okay? So that's all I got. Let's check questions. Any questions that pop through? Okay. Mr. Clement says, what you're saying is get fit outside with a launch monitor. First part of your question, that would be preferred. Trying to think. I have gotten fit inside. It was decent. The guy that fit me was a really nice guy. I really liked him, and he was really competent. He spent a lot of time with me. I have gone and got fit outside, and the outside fittings have been incredibly more beneficial to me. However, the last time I did a fitting, I spent 3.5 hours at the driving range. So that's a long time. Not everybody has that amount of time. But yes, if you have the time and you have the opportunity to go outside with a launch monitor like a flight scope or a TrackMan and be outside and hit golf balls for a while, that's your best bet. And the next part of your question, Clement, is, does the mat affect your gapping distance? Yes. So his question was about gapping distances indoors. Yes, the mat will affect that. Because the spin rates are different. Here we go. Let me bring this up. Because the spin rates are different, there's going to be discrepancies in how far the golf ball will fly, right? So if a pitching wedge is an average of 149, the 8-iron was an average of 180 or whatever. And so if you have discrepancies in the spin rates, you could potentially have discrepancies with how far the golf ball will fly as well. And so when I'm hitting golf balls in here, I am mostly concerned not necessarily with how far the golf ball goes, but with a lot of the other numbers that I'm looking at. So when I go in here to hit golf balls, I like to look at angle of attack. I like to look at club path, face to path. I like to look at the curve that the ball has, and I like to look at club speed and ball speed and smash. So those numbers are really, really important to me, and I don't necessarily look at carry distance in here. Again, because I know the spin rates are different because of the mat. Okay? I think that answered your question. Yeah, so that app, there's your answer to your question, bud. All right? So that's all for the questions. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to let y'all go, and we'll see you again soon.